Good evening. I am Joshua Shelov. Please call me Josh. I use he, him pronouns. I am an adjunct professor at Yale and Sacred Heart Universities, and I have been a professional writer for 25 years, mostly in Hollywood, where I was fortunate enough to write films and produce TV shows. And today, I am the founder and CEO of Written Out Loud. We are a storytelling and writing company, and we have worked with over 70 schools and districts, and we have helped over 5,000 students become published authors. Now, after this meeting, I'd love to talk to you in as much detail as you would like about how we work with kids and teachers and schools and families, and our team is going to put some information in the chat for you if you're interested in following up for your child or your school. But here's the connection to why we are here tonight. The structure that we use in our program, our learning environment, is exactly the same structure that we use in a Hollywood writer's room, and it is the exact same structure that we are in right now, a campfire. You can see there's an actual campfire image in here, and it is not decorative. In our program, we gather kids together in classrooms and virtually, and we inspire them to start telling stories they love out loud so that their organic and innate love of storytelling can be a springboard into a joyful writing process. Out loud storytelling also provides a springboard into real trust, meaningful action, and powerful collaboration. That's why we're here tonight, using the same campfire format. Tonight is our second campfire in which we're discussing learning and AI. And we're going to hear from an amazing panel of educators, business people, and students who I'm about to introduce. But first, I just want to share a few young voices from our campfire last week. One of our students who's here tonight with braces on is Nadia Batum. She said, "Hi. Yes, we are only a third of the world, but we are the whole future." Maria, would you mind playing those 3 sound bites?
I actually think it makes you a worse writer. Sure, your story might seem better to your reader, but you have not learned through trial and error. You have just put in your ideas and AI spits it all out at you. As humans, we learn from doing. If we aren't failing and we aren't like losing everything, how are we ever going to learn how to be a better writer?
ChatGPT doesn't have an imagination. It's meant to create things, but since it doesn't have like actual thought, it can't understand like the actual like human like life energy that most story ideas give off.
I hold the belief that AI shouldn't replace imagination. I think that it can't replace imagination because there are ideas that are just human. AI can't replicate that because it doesn't have the same human experience that we all share. It doesn't have that same spark to it.
Awesome. How amazing are these kids? And we have more this evening, which I'm thrilled about. Okay, so let's get going. Here's tonight's format. First, I'm going to let our panelists introduce themselves one at a time. Then I'm going to lead them through a Q&A. First, the educators, then the business people, and then the students. Panelists, we do want this to be a conversation. So when you hear a fellow panelist say something that you have a powerful follow-on thought about, whether you agree or disagree, go ahead, raise your digital hand, and if there is time, I'll call on you for a quick follow-up. In the final 30 minutes, we're going to open up the floor for questions from all of the rest of you, but do not hold your questions until the end. Please, please type them in the chat as soon as they occur to you. Our team will collect them, and I will try to call everyone by the end. We may not get to everyone, but we will try. Okay, 2 final thoughts before we start. Even if you don't have a question, please use the chat to write down any AI-related challenge that you yourself are facing in your home, in your school, or in your business that this growing community may be able to help you with. We're going to review every single thing that gets written and recorded in the chat, and your question or issue is going to help us shape future conversations. And finally, please consider yourself to be not just an attendee, but a participant in this movement. The word movement may seem a bit extreme, but as my good friend and managing director here at Written Out Loud, Awas Sufi, likes to say, let's think about our next movement not as a revolution, but as just the movement of a few meters at a time. We are at the beginning of a very long and complex journey with AI and with technology more generally. Shoulder to shoulder, we're going to move this conversation and community forward, just a few meters at a time. So for real, keep in touch. You cannot over communicate with me. You've all received emails. Please take that opportunity to chime in whenever you'd like down the road. Okay, so let's begin with our educator panelists. I'm going to call your name. And then when I do, please take about 15, 20 seconds to say your name, where you are located, and your current job title and description. Let us begin with Laura Burke.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Burke, and I am in the Denver metro area, right outside Denver, in a town called Parker. And I am the Chief of Innovative Systems and Empowerment at VAIL, which stands for the Venture Academy of Leadership and Entrepreneurship. It's a small by design high school in Parker.
Thank you so much, Laura. Angelique Nedved.
Hi, everyone. I am Angelique Nedved, President and CEO of School Smart KC. That is downtown Kansas City. We straddle the state line here in the Midwest. So very excited to be part of this and look forward to learning more from our students tonight.
Thank you so much for being here, Angelique. Mark Pollux.
Hey, everybody. It's great to be here. I'm looking forward to hearing from everybody. I'm in Connecticut right now, but I've taught in Canada and Texas. So I'm looking forward to hearing from the rest of the world.
Thank you so much for coming, Mark. And now our business people, Jamie Diaferia.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jamie Diaferia. I am in Connecticut right now, but I'm based in New York. I am the CEO and founder of a company called Infinite Global. We specialize in public relations generally, but also crisis communications. And so AI is becoming a big topic of conversation right now.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Aaron North.
Hey everybody, great to see you. My name's Aaron, and I am the principal at Northward Consulting. So I work really with business, civic, and community-based organizations right now on economic development work. And prior to that, had some experience in philanthropy with education and workforce. So great to be here. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Graham Carter.
Hi everyone. My name is Graham Carter. I'm 17. I'm a senior in high school right now, and I go to the Venture Academy of Leadership and Entrepreneurship.
Terrific, Graham. Thank you so much. Louisa Johnson.
Hi, I'm Louisa. I'm 14. I'm a freshman, and I also go to the Venture Academy of Leadership and Entrepreneurship.
Awesome. So nice to meet you, Louisa and Graham. Nadia Batum.
Hi, I'm Nadia. I'm in 8th grade. I'm 13, and well, that's about it.
And you're from Georgia. You're in Georgia, and you just got brackets on your teeth today.
Yeah, yesterday, I think. Yeah, no, day before yesterday, and I'm located in a tiny, isolated, not very known town by the name of Bloomingdale.
Bloomingdale, Georgia. Nadia is one of the best and brightest we've ever had. Speaking of which, last but certainly not least, two remarkable twin storytellers. Let's begin with Ava Moslehi.
I'm Ava. I'm 12 in 7th grade, and
Hey, Ava, can you? Yeah, your voice is a bit low. Not very well. Try again. Try bellowing. Little better, little better. While we're talking to the educators, we may need to work on your audio, but go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Ava Maslahi. I am 12 years old in 8th grade in Campfire, Virginia.
Got it. Thank you very much, Ava. Aram?
Hello, my name is Aram Maslahi. Wait, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you. I got you.
Am I hearable? Okay.
You are.
Hi, my name is Aram Maslahi. Live in Sterling, Virginia, and I have published 4 books with Written Out Loud, and I'm 12 years old and in 8th grade. So
amazing. Well, as we talk to our educators, Aram, maybe go help your sister with her audio issues. It could be the headphones potentially. I know usually during class, Ava, your audio is loud and clear. But let us now begin our interviews. We're going to begin with the educators. Thank you all so much for being here. Let's go. So I want to start by hearing the educators' reactions to the 3 sound bites that you heard at the beginning of this campfire. And before you respond, I just want to say to you and everyone here that it's more than okay to say, you know, AI has a lot of good uses. I use AI. Good and honest students and teachers use AI, and here is how it is actually helpful. So I want to just give everyone permission to, you know, put the pitchforks down and talk about the positive uses of AI, as well as, of course, your concerns and even your fears. Let's begin with Laura Burke.
Yeah, I think hearing the kids last week and again today in those sound bites, something that was really interesting to me that I hadn't anticipated was the wide variety of students and what they think about AI. I think so often adults are assuming kids all over the world are using AI to cheat and like that's what they're doing. And what I think we learned from the kids last week is that that's not the case, that they're using it in lots of different kinds of ways. Some of them are not using it. Some of them are really holding true to what they believe is important in their own imaginations and their own writing and their own thinking. And so I give them a lot of credit for being a voice in that, where I think a lot of adults don't always give kids credit for that. And so I like that kids, just as much as the adults, are a little bit all over the map when it comes to AI.
Thank you very much, Laura. Angelique, I know you were here at our campfire last week, so if you could just react not only to the sound bites that we just played for everyone, but in general to, you know, the kids that, you know, you heard last week.
So I echo Laura's comment about that wide spectrum of experience and reaction to it. And listening to them last week and again today resonated with me, how authentic they can be. And I appreciate them putting their stake in the ground about that and setting the record straight. Like Laura said, set the record straight. They're all not using it. They're all not cheating. So let's come to the realization that they have a wide spectrum of comfort with it.
Yeah. Mark, thank you.
Yes, I'd agree. Those are kind of inspiring quotes. I really enjoy the way the youngsters kind of see the human as being so important and the realm of imagination. And so I think a probability machine can do certain things, but maybe not that.
Amazing. Let's stay on you for a second, Mark, and then we'll go back in the other direction. I want to get really practical. How are the kids in your classroom, in your world, in your school using AI for real?
Well, this year we, for the first time, actually have a policy that talks about use of AI to augment a person's skills. And so that's a tricky word for even some high schoolers to kind of process. But the truth is that, you know, the AI, the language generators, have, I think, really opened some doors for students as long as they're willing to use it to make themselves stronger and not as a way to just escape work. So I think that ultimately um, the um, the gist of it is, can you use this as a tool, sort of like a Google search on steroids is sort of what it is mostly.
Yeah. I know that, when you and I last talked in person, Mark, you pointed out like some of the, basically the policing mechanisms that, I assume, your district has been working on with you. And I know you didn't sign up for this job in order to become a traffic cop or a truth detector. But what is your feeling and what is your actual practical usage of these sort of policing techniques, in your day-to-day teaching life now?
Right. At the high school level, in our conversation, I was mentioning, we get to know our students really well because we spend a lot of face time with them. We have writing conferences. We speak to them as people, and so unlike in a college situation or setting where a professor may only see um, their kid in their writing and not know them as humans, the policing hopefully isn't something that I have to do because I'm not a cop, as you're saying. And so I feel somewhat fortunate, but as you mentioned, we do have software that lets us see what happens on a Google Doc. We have lockdown browsers. We have certain forms of, policing, and it's a little unfortunate because it does, I think, make a student feel like a criminal, and that I don't think that should be the case.
Hmm. Angelique, what are you seeing in Kansas City, with your school partners, with the actual kids that you come in contact with? How are they using it? How are they not using it? What are you seeing?
I'll build off Mark's. What we are seeing is either this policing exercise or an unchecked free-for-all. And I think what it illuminates is the need for some boundaries, policies, support. And where I'm seeing it work the best is when we bring families and students in and educators in to create those policies. Unfortunately, our policies haven't kept up with usage. So teachers are confused. Sometimes it feels like cheating. Can I get that support on my lesson plan for accommodations and modifications? It can be an incredible tool for an educator who is stretched thin across multiple learning styles, maybe across multiple contents, and adding extra enrichment or a reteach or a relearn on a lesson. One thing to keep in mind is keeping our educators up to speed with tools. I've watched technology over the past 3 decades, and we talk about digital divides and all these divides, but there's a comfort divide with our educators, and that's one of my favorite phrases. They're not as comfortable as other individuals around them, maybe using it more fluently. And how do we ensure that their comfort allows it to be a tool of access and a tool that they can teach with in the classroom, giving our students, much like Wikipedia. Mark may remember this, Laura may remember this. When Wikipedia came out, it was like, don't use Wikipedia, don't trust it as the end all. So I feel like this is the next, okay, how do we teach how to use it? What are the boundaries?
Yeah, that's a great point, Angelique. And one of the things that I keep coming back to in my mind is it's not necessarily the power of AI as the newness of AI. And this is true of so many of the technologies, Wikipedia, search engines, and just everything that is in all of the open tabs in front of our students. The teachers did not grow up with the tools and technologies, distractions, and advantages in many cases that the students have in front of them. So there is no established rule book. There's no established playbook. There's no decades-long measure of standards and practices that they can lean on, and that's scary. Um, Laura, okay, so as I alluded to before, Laura, you know, I really want you and Graham and Louisa to go into some detail about how the teachers, the administration, and the students really crafted and put into place, and I assume continue to adjust your AI policy at Vail. So, Laura, I kind of want to assign you as sort of like the co-ringmaster. So why don't you get us started, and then call on Graham and Louisa, as you know, their experiences sort of will help tell the story.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because and we still very much call our AI policy a draft. I'm happy to even share a link to it here with folks so that they can take a look at it. But it is called a draft because it's a work in progress. Just like, Angelique was just saying too, the speed at which things are happening with AI, it's the newness that everyone is trying to keep up with. And so Leanne Hayen, our founding principal, when she first sat down to do the AI policy, it was with the intention of having it be a draft and having it be a work in progress, knowing that we've got teachers at a comfort divide in different places, and we've got students in that. And so one reason why I'm particularly interested in everyone hearing from Graham and Louisa is because they are falling in different divides often of like where they and how they use AI and what their thoughts are on it. I think it's really interesting that it's very similar to other things like the internet, like Wikipedia, like all of these things that have come out that people tend to be really polarized on. It's either the worst thing in the world or the best thing in the world. And I feel like as soon as we get into a place of more balance with everything, including AI, that's where it can really be effective. And so I would love Graham and Louisa, whoever wants to go first. Maybe Graham, you can talk about how you've used AI. You've, created businesses and you've used it, not just in the classroom, but as an entrepreneur in your own right. And then Louisa, kind of your take on it, because I know you've got a lot of experience and thoughts about it too. So maybe Graham first and then Louisa in how you've use not just our AI policy specifically at Vail, but just in your own lives.
Yeah, so at Vail, one of the two promises that Vail offers is one, they promise that they're going to prepare us for the world that is already here, and then the second promise is that there's going to prepare us for the world that is coming. And so that was really important when AI came out because Vail decided that it wasn't right to fear it or to ban it, just face it head on. So Leanne and Laura had built a policy that we call mastery over mimicry. And I think this is very important because um, we don't want students to just copy what AI spits out to you and just put it on a piece of paper and turn it in. It shouldn't be something that replaces our own thoughts. It shouldn't be something that replaces our own voice. Um, and I think that's really important to remember. But I think also at the very heart of it, and I believe this like with all my heart, but I think we live in a world that pushes instant gratification. We always are looking for the quick answer, the easy win, the shortcut. And I think AI does tempt us with that same promise. And if we're not careful with it, it can make us passive and it can steal the struggle that actually makes us stronger. And so, back to how I use AI is that I do AI automation for businesses. So making for like restaurants, per se, for an example, I would create an automation so that if someone called the restaurant, it would be an AI chatbot so they could make reservations, they could order takeout, book a table, they could do whatever. But I do think that the faster that businesses automate, there are benefits to people having more freedom and the free time to give to the business, and like teachers and educators using AI gives them more time to be with students one on one. So I do think it's beneficial for that. But I think the faster that we automate businesses and school systems and stuff like that, it'll get away from us and we'll start to lose the vision of how to actually use AI, how to structure prompts and how to not let it just take control of our brain. If that makes any sense.
It totally does. That's fantastic, Graham. And the fact that you're actually using AI to build these businesses, honestly, I want to talk to you for an hour. But let me just follow up with one quick question before we go into Louisa. When do you feel that you are in danger of being tempted to use AI in a way that will diminish you as a student, you as a person? And I think clearly there are ways in which you are in love with AI and, that you're applying it, to yourself as an entrepreneur. But are there ways in which you find yourself succumbing to AI that you have to sort of police yourself against? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think especially when I'm in school, I'm a big user of AI. Um, I use it more for like the foundations, the outlines. Um, I don't just take what it spits out, but I think that's one of the most important things that especially students need to understand. Is that as soon as you just start taking what ChatGPT gives you and put it on a piece of paper and turn it in, you're not thinking, you're not like you losing critical thinking, you're not understanding anything, you're not learning, you're not growing. Everything that you want, like you think you're getting it, you think you get the answer and you get it the easiest way, the fastest way, the most efficient, but you don't actually learn it and you don't understand the details that go into it.
Awesome. Thank you, Graham. Louisa, your perspective. Well, let's start with, how you use AI and your relationship with Vale. And by the way, Laura, since you've worked directly with Louisa, if there's an anecdote that would be particularly illuminating, go ahead and prompt Louisa to start with that.
Well, I think the most interesting thing is when I asked her the other day, I said, just matter of factly, we were kind of all in the comments together, and I just said, "Hey, do you use AI?" And the words that came out of her mouth next, I was like, "Oh, so there's this thing that you should come to with me," because she was so insightful about her thoughts about it. Uh, Not the least of which is because she has parents that have a lot of experience in AI, but she also has such interesting thoughts about her concerns around it that I would love, yeah, Louisa, for you to just kind of tell them either what you told me or, some version of that would be really insightful.
Yeah. So I have used AI, but never as a student because I don't think that it helps me in that way because the way that AI operates, it isn't actually thinking about, well, it can't think, but it's not considering what it's putting out. What it does is it goes through a series of sources that it can find, and it finds the first letter, the most common first letter, puts that down. Okay, what's the next character? And it just does that. And that's how AI can come across as being a jumble of repeated words because it doesn't think. And I think an analogy that I had is that if I was taking a class, like right now I'm in trigonometry. So if I was taking that and I needed help on a specific thing, I could ask people who I knew have taken that class before, or I could ask someone who knows an awful lot of people that took that class but never took it themselves. Sure, that person can still help me out. That's like the AI. It's never done trigonometry, it's never learned it, but it has all these sources. So sure, it can help me out, but not as much as a teacher or a senior can because they've taken the class before. I really like doing things like D&D campaigns, and I love writing. And so if I need to come up with like a name for a character or like a not an important character, just a random background NPC, then I might use AI. I'm like, hey, can you come up with some names for this? Because it's just an easy way for me to advance my creativity because using it as kind of a stepping stone, but knowing that I can still get to my destination without using it. I think that the disconnect comes when we as students think that we cannot learn the material, we cannot perform that we know the material without the use of AI. I think that it's just scary to me that it's starting to feel morally wrong to say that AI is nothing more than a program. It's just code. It's starting like I'm starting to hear it in the way that I say it that makes it sound wrong and like it's like I'm describing a person that way. And that's really scary to me because I don't like the way that AI is being actively humanized. It's being like more of it's like a person and it's not. And that's pretty scary to me. And I think that it's important to remember that AI is a tool, not a crutch, and that it is not a person and it never will be a person.
Mm. Oh my goodness, Louisa, you've just given us so much to chew on. I want to just volley this back at you. Who in your world is concerningly humanizing AI? It sounds like you're aware of it. Honestly, you sound quite expert and quite centered when it comes to your own attitudes, your own boundaries with AI. So who's humanizing it in a way that makes you feel concerned? You don't have to name names.
Yeah. So I used to go to Crest Hill Middle School, and there was definitely a lot of AI abuse there. And one of the programs that I remember having a lot go around about is character AI. I'm sure you've heard about it.
Yeah.
The thing is, people use it to, talk to characters and whatnot. But I know people who would constantly be talking to this robot. Like I did theater after school, and so I would do rehearsals and I was running around because I was also on tech. So I was doing all of the things. And I would look and there would just be kids on their phones and they would be constantly talking to a robot. And I would be like, "Hey, can we go work on this? Can we go run lines?" And they'd be like, "Oh, I have to finish this conversation." And it was really concerning to me the fact that people were essentially starting relationships with AI, and the absence of it felt like the loss of a relationship. I knew people who would character AI is used for a lot of things. I do know that its program is like it's going off of what its most popular responses are, and a lot of that tends to be it has a filter, but it is more adult things. Like it tries to engage in a romantic way, even if you're trying to engage the robot in a somewhat platonic way.
Oof. Oh
But
boy.
yeah, so it does try to do that. I'm concerned about saying exactly what it does, but I I feel like that people are starting to treat AI as an actual relationship, and I knew people who would get incredibly upset when they wouldn't be able to talk to this robot, when they wouldn't be able to finish their conversation or something like that. It's just become such a like a it's become such an important part of their lives, and I don't like the fact that a program is holding the same, if not more, meaning than a relationship.
Oh my goodness. You said a mouthful. Aram, I'm looking at you. We're going to talk about character AI when we hear from you. By the way, I'm going to start like a closed Facebook group because there's some articles that I want us to share. Email can get really, messy. So if you're interested or willing to be a part of a closed Facebook group, so it'll just be, selected people that'll allow us to not just, share articles, but be able to reference them because obviously emails and texts are immediately gone with the wind. Just go ahead and say I'm interested in the Facebook group in the chat, and then I can invite you. And this may change over time. Facebook, I know, is a dinosaur, but that's where I want to start. Let's move on to our business people. Thank you so much, educators and students, for chiming in. But let's start with you, Jamie. How is AI actually unfolding at Infinite, for good and for ill in front of you?
I think there's some parallels actually between what we're hearing in the education group and what we're experiencing as well. I think maybe the consequences are a little bit different in the business world. So there's the practical use, which is you can use it for research. So let me just back up and say what we do. A lot of our job is to take from our clients, who tend to be a lot of law firms, information that they can then talk to the media about. So we take that information, we synthesize it, we turn it into a pitch, usually a written pitch that we will send to the media, and they will decide whether they want to talk to our sources and include them in articles, et cetera. So our teams who are doing that work, they need to understand very complicated subject matter. Oftentimes it's very legal, technical. So people are using it for research. That's fine, except the information is not always accurate, right? And I think there's a process where you can take the time to really dive deep in a subject, become an expert in antitrust law, for example, and use that to turn it into an intelligent pitch. That's the way I had to do it. That's the way everybody had to do it until ChatGPT came along. Now you can take a lot of complex info, synthesize it, then you spit it back out to a reporter. If it's wrong, this is where the consequences come in. Now you are now actively representing somebody and representing them to the media with bad info, right? So at that point, then we all look bad. Sometimes it even gets written up in the media. So there's just some really negative consequences. There are a lot of people in my team who I think are using it to write pitches and to write language articles, et cetera. And just as I think everybody said, it's a very soulless kind of writing, and we can spot it immediately. I'm sure the media can spot it. Our clients can spot it. And so we have a policy now where we're very actively limiting and restricting the use of AI. But I have a 19-year-old daughter in college. I know how she's using it, and probably a little more excessively than I would like. And I know my team's using it, particularly some of the younger folks, also a little more excessively than I would like. So we are having to limit it.
Yeah, that soullessness thing, that resonates with me. I confess, even just like a few months ago, my colleagues had written out loud here know this. I was starting to get into the groove with ChatGPT, and I noticed that when I generate it, even if it's just a sense of minutes, from a meeting, and if I posted them or shared them with someone had written out loud, I never got a response. Just that instant artificiality, even if it was extremely well organized and very cogent and obviously produced very swiftly, there is a sense of almost like I'm deceiving someone in my own work
Yeah.
by sharing a piece of communication using AI as the front end. And so that was part of my sort of pivot back to this more Luddite frame of mind that I'm in right now. Aaron North, so you come to us with a really impressive and very relevant set of background, with education, philanthropy, and now you're consulting with all kinds of different businesses. So I'm curious, just, how are you seeing AI? How are you using it? What are the goods and the bads that you're seeing in your work life, in particular, in a way that, these are students here and, kids who are going to be entering the workforce before too long. What are you seeing in a way that excites you and that concerns you?
Thanks, Josh. I don't want to wreck the flow here. I see Nadia and Luisa with hands up, so I just want to make sure if they have something based on what Jamie just said that we can hit them real quick. And then I'm glad I'm always glad to tell you what I think, but I'd love to hear what they're thinking.
Yeah, let's go Nadia and then Luisa, and then we'll go back to Aaron. Good call. Thank you.
I was gonna say, so since AI is based off of our human articles, like in newspapers and stuff like that, it'll take it and it'll filter out the information. I had an interesting question. Why, since it is based off of our writing, why is it so inhuman and so soulless if we're the ones that are actually posting the stuff on the internet and it gathers the stuff from the internet? That's my question / idea that I had.
Aram, it sounds like you have an excited response. It feels like, of course, whereof you speak.
Yes, so AI is designed to synthesize the perfect person with its neural networks. The way an AI neural network works is that it inputs data and then it filters it down to a sentence, essentially like a very powerful summary, and it refines it and redesigns it until it's deemed ideal and it's printed out to the user. And this is all done in a fraction of a second, of course. But so ideally, according to the definition of AI, this writing is perfect writing. So why doesn't it feel perfect to us? It's because human writing has imperfections.
Right.
And imperfections are what make us human. Say, my hair is a different color than Luisa's hair. That could be considered an imperfection by the ideal human. So, if you don't make mistakes, if you are not made of mistakes, then you are not human or you don't feel human. And since AI is a perfect person with perfect writing, its writing doesn't feel.
Awesome, Arm. Thank you. Luisa.
Yeah, so I just think it's important to also put in that fraction of a second that it takes AI to respond to you, it's has the same psychological effects the notifications do. When a little thing shows up like a little like a sound or just a little banner pop down or a text message, it sets off a dopamine release in the brain that's like, ooh, shiny, going back to that lizard brain. So then you just want to keep doing it, keep chasing that dopamine, which is why AI can be so addictive because since the responses come so quickly, it's like, oh, here's a new thing. Here's a new thing. Here's a new thing. You just want to keep going and see how many new things you can get because it's that chase of dopamine and it's that addiction.
Thank you both. All right, Aaron, thank you for gallantly yielding the floor, but I would love to hear, your perspective, from your perch and your experience.
Sure. I love those responses. My first observation is I use AI for very boring things. I'm not pushing the envelope. I think enough based on what I'm hearing here, but
That's for the best. Maybe it's
probably for the
best
best.
used for boring things, but keep going.
Yeah, sure. I think, so I work with groups that build to help them build strategies and plans and but also the capacity to adapt and evolve, anticipate where changes might come and how you handle those and how you have structures that let you be nimble and react to things. So I might be a little provocatively pragmatic here. So provocatively like dull, but like one of the things, one of the exercises, I guess, is like replacing the word AI with the word computer. If you're thinking in the context of the 1980s, where it's like, the computers are here. What are we doing with computers? Same thing I'd say with internet in the 90s, where it's like it's the internet. We've talked a little bit about these disruptive technologies. Is smartphones in the 2010s, right? I mean, I would posit that I don't know if humanity was ready for 24-hour access to most of the world's information or being able to organize each other online around terrible ideas, but build momentum around those things like social media can do. So I don't know if we were ready for those, but they're here anyways, and we're figuring it out. And AI, I think, is very similar. When we work with a lot of the organizations and groups I work with, you have to start with the idea that AI is an inevitability. It's not a choice, or if it is, it won't be very soon. Um, Early adoption is disruptive and messy, and I think that's what some of the things we're talking about now. When you look back at old internet bulletin boards and how people use them for predatory purposes and things like that, until you started to learn how to shape those. So, what I'm seeing, I guess, across the board is a lot of, as Jamie said, a lot of the same questions and concerns, but there's also just an inevitability that this is here now. And if you're making plans right now and not integrating AI very deeply, even based on the cursory understanding we have right now, it'd be like, making big plans and trying to build a successful future without thinking about the internet back in like 1995 or 96. You really had to. You just have to. And so that's my first observation. I think these conversations are great because this is how you start to approach it. This is how you deal with it. But I can tell you what's waiting for you on the other side of that graduation stage is a job that will likely have high integration of AI. And if you graduated tomorrow, that's still a very high likelihood. And so whether that's, those tools are being used appropriately or not is really the question. The tool is there. It's how you apply it and how you use it. So I'll stop there, Josh. I don't know if that was kind of what you're looking for.
Yeah, no, that's outstanding and enormously appreciated. Ava, your hand is up. You wanted to respond. We're going to turn to the students for a couple of questions in a moment, but obviously you wanted to react to something. Can we hear you, first of all? I think we may need you to, can you go, are you in the same house as Aram?
Yeah.
Well, you're too brilliant to be unheard, Ava. Can you go unmute your screen, go to Aram, we'll play some mood music while we wait for you to go speak into Aram's microphone. Sound good? All right. We're patiently waiting. I will say, you know, to your point, Aaron, and this totally echoes a point that Nadia made in the chat. Nadia's story was about how alarmed they were about the installation of light switches in the White House. So this drove everyone crazy. I heard a story that John Philip Sousa, the old musician and composer of big band songs and music from the late 1900s, railed against the proliferation of recording of music, saying this will be the end of music, the recording of music. So the newness factor is very difficult to parse out from the power of AI itself. It really is very difficult to basically rationally assess something that is so new. All right, Ava, you've surfaced in front of a working microphone, we hope.
Okay, so I wanted to build off a point that Louisa said a while ago. It was about like instant gratification. I feel like AI is essentially a business. AI is designed to I guess attract customers and keep them. So everything that it does has a layer of of encouraging customers to go back and respond.
That's right. Yeah, that's it, right? That's the point in a nutshell. That's such of course, a deeply mature distillation of what we are to be sanguine of and wary of. Nadia, you have a follow-on thought?
Yeah, I posted in the chat and like Alice said, well, I don't want to continually repeat what people say. So, I was gonna say AI, we use AI to chat with it. To chat with it as a friend. Why don't we talk to our real friends? A, because lonely people use it. They don't have really anyone to talk to, or they feel like no one's listening. And B, because AI will always agree with what you say. Because, like I said, it is designed to pull you in, it is designed to make you want to continue using it. But we have friends to talk to in the case of character AI. And it doesn't feel human to talk to AI because of the fact there's no resistance. There's no opinion. Only your opinion being repeated back to you. It's inhuman the way it talks to you because it just doesn't feel right when you're talking. And I don't think humanity would feel human if there wasn't any argument, tribulation, and hardships going on. It wouldn't feel human because then we would have the perfect life. And that's not really human.
Yeah. Okay. I sort of want to hear the other side of the coin, Nadia. So I so appreciate it. And all of the candor about the obvious fears and ills about AI are well founded. But to Aaron's point, to become conversant, if not masterful at AI, it is very likely to be quite important. Unless we determine that AI is the new cigarettes in 2.5 years or whatever it is, a real possibility. Graham, You are building businesses with AI. Make the case for AI as a positive influence that young people in particular need to learn how to use and use properly.
Yeah, I think one of the things that doing AI automation specifically for businesses has helped me realize is that when I help other people figure out how to make their organization more efficient, ways to buy back their time, ways to put it into containers that are more important than just picking up calls and doing the tedious tasks. I think it's important that especially our generation, Gen Zers, understand that AI is truly just an assistant and that we shouldn't let it do the thinking. You should always let it use your original thought and just let it create a framework, an outline, something just like what Luisa said, just a stepping stone so that you don't have to use it for every little jump. I think that's really important to notice and to do.
That's excellent. Laura, I just saw your comment in the chat, which is so incisive. I want to have you ask the kids that very question. It's a great pivot into a couple of questions from our students. And then we're going to get to the questions that many of you have put in the chat. Again, we probably won't get to everything. The chat is filled to bursting in the best possible way. But Laura, why don't you steer the next few minutes, ask your question, and then call on a few kids to answer.
Yeah, I would love to hear from any students here around what, in your opinions, do you think would be helpful for you, for the adults in your life? Like, how would it be helpful for the adults in your life to help you use AI effectively and ethically? What do we need to do as adults, whether we're the educators, the parents, doesn't matter, the employers? What do we need to do to help you use it effectively and ethically? Because there's a lot of noise in the world about AI. You tell us, like, how can we help you use it, both effectively and ethically?
Go ahead and call on a kid. No favorites.
Who I see, well, I see Aram's hand up on there. So yeah, Aram.
Yeah.
Hello. I'm going to start this off with an interesting fact because why not? So, you have a small, weird organ in your body called the thymus, and your thymus produces T cells, which basically need to be able to distinguish your own cells from hostile enemy cells. And with AI, it's the same thing. One needs to be able to sort of sift through the situations where you should use AI and situations where you need your own creativity. And AI can be there as sort of a writing partner to bounce ideas off of or augment your own creativity, but it shouldn't be the root of your story. It shouldn't have created your characters or major parts of the plot, etc.
Before we get another young person's response to Laura's question, which is an excellent one, Laura, I will remember to go back to it. So Louisa's father, forgive me, sir, I don't know your name, but I know from this conversation that you work in AI. Can you identify yourself, say your name, and share your comment? Do you mind?
Sorry. Yeah, AJ is my name. I was the guy who made her late to this whole thing. So I work in software, and so we deal with AI. And I guess I was just going to throw out the lesson that I have acquired with AI, having built them, trained them, and then implemented them in varying ways. And when we say AI here, most people are talking about large language models, the things that you type to and type back. There are myriad AI models out there that we can use for all sorts of cool things. The one rule I teach everyone to use when engaging AI is to treat it like an intern. And the reasoning for that is this. I will trust an intern to take a shot at something. I will never have them do something I don't know how to check. But I'm happy to let them do a bunch of things. And an AI is very much that same thing, right? You can have it. Okay, how would I describe this thing? Well, describe to me a forest with this kind of a thing and whatever else. Now, you know what that should sound like. You know, in your voice as an author, what it is to describe that It's just there to go, well, there are red leaves, right? Because it's autumn. And you're like, that's the part that I was digging for. But then you rewrite it in your voice. So it helped you figure out what was there. But it did not actually do the word trust with an AI is my one, just never use that word. If you're saying I trust an AI, then you're giving it agency that code should not have. So that was all I was going to pitch in. It's a really useful tool, incredibly powerful. Use it for a lot of things. Just always make sure that you are never trying to trust it to do something you couldn't have done yourself. It's there to help you get it at it, not to do something for you.
Right. Okay. So, AJ, so glad you're here. Great, great, great points. So clearly put. So my question is, this is now in the hands of 11-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 9-year-olds, who do not necessarily, and in fact, in many cases, do not have the self-awareness or life experience to be able to say, I don't trust you, or that's not what I'm looking for, who don't have the stature to say, you're just an intern, and who are very often seeing language blossom before their eyes that they know seems to have more maturity than that which they themselves can produce. So they yield to it.
Yes.
So, as someone who works in AI, what kind, especially when coupled with Ava's point, right? That like, look, this thing just wants your attention, doesn't care how old you are. What kind of guidelines, rules, guardrails should we, as a community of educators, parents, business people, put between our lesser instincts and this technology, if anything?
Sure. So here are the, I guess, taking your question, right, which is, given that we are talking about people who have not engaged with other things, have not engaged much with AI, younger people who hear language coming back, presuming we're sticking with the large language model idea. Hear language coming back and it sounds great. So it's eloquent. It is well put together. And that's because, of course, it is. It has drawn from every author you've heard of times 1,000 others. So it is going to sound, the ones that you'll use again will sound that way. By the way, the student who said that, the AI model that wins isn't the one that gives you the best information. It's the one that you use more often, because that's the one that monetizes and that's the one that wins. And it revs and it keeps going. So it will always try to give you what you will use again, which doesn't have to be what you want. That's confusing. So I'll put that part aside. That's just for people on the adult side to think about. Is it's not about what gives you the better information. It's about the one you'll go back to. For the kids, here is the simplest question, the simplest thing I'll tell you. You are no more subject to the whim of using an AI than a 30-year-old at my office, right? They're the same level of, ooh, that sounds great. So I don't want us to think about it as, well, because they're kids, then they're more subject to falling in with this. No, they're just more prolific with use of it. So it shows up more often. It doesn't mean they are better at understanding how to use it than any adult on the planet. We've all had about the same amount of time to make use of them. They're so new. And part two is back to that original thing. If ever somebody wants to check on whether or not somebody is using an AI well, ask them, do you believe what it told you? And if they say, yeah, that's a problem. You should never be using that term. Did you check on what it told you and it's correct? Yeah. Or you already knew that part or whatever else. But if the answer is ever, I believe them, and we say that like a person, or we say, I believe it, or we say, I believe what it gave me. Yeah. Then at that point, we are, an AI is not something that has a reason to give us information other than that we should trust, because it's never been built to do that. I've never built an AI with the concept of it being trustworthy. That is not how those get done. So if somebody says to any of these kids, if I ask, hey, you were using this to look up what this thing was, do you believe what it told you? And the answer is yes, then you're misusing it. Go back and figure out, did I already know this? Or do I need to check on it? Because this is not my writing partner. This is not my human who has a reason to make sure that I can trust them and goes and looks those things up. It's just code. It's just code. Does that help with the answer a little bit?
Yeah, very, very, very much so. I want to go back to Laura. AJ, I'm so glad you showed up, and your brilliant daughter as well. So Laura, can I ask you to summarize as neatly as possible what Vail's AI policy is? What's inbounds? What's out of bounds? What's negotiable?
Well, as succinctly as I can, I will say that AI, the policy at Vail for AI is balance in using it to help, not to circumvent your own thinking. And it is used as a way to create more time and space for you to do the work as a staff or a student that is the humanizing work of learning. And there is a disclosure aspect that we take pretty seriously, that if you're going to use it, then you disclose that you used it and how you used it, just like you would cite an internet source that you were pulling from. And I think there is a tremendous amount of trust and respect that we have for students at Vail and that students have for us in having the conversations around it. It doesn't make it perfect, but it does mean that if we're going to trust that you can use this, we're going to help you try to use it the best that you can, and not tell you can't use it at all, because that's also not helping you as you go into the workforce someday, as so many people were saying here. So
boy, the disclosure piece resonates so deeply with me as such a eureka solve. Like, of course, if you share how you used it, it removes the stigma of secrecy, the shame that I think is getting smuggled into our classrooms, because even, good kids, honest kids, quote unquote, wonder if they're getting away with something, are not sure where the line is. So my question, based on this disclosure idea, and I want to throw this out to kids and educators, is that possible? Is the use of AI too blended in to our thinking, to our work, to be disclosed in a way that kind of really honestly reflects where we used AI and where we used our own organic thinking? Anyone have a shot at that? Aram, you're pretty brilliant. Thoughts? Jamie, you got a thought?
Yeah, I'll just say I think disclosure is a piece of it. And certainly when it comes to the ethics of it, it needs to be, everything needs to be transparent, but that doesn't solve some of the inherent problems that go along with it. So I still think there needs to be a code of conduct for any area, whether it's education or business, that people follow and are pretty strict about. So, but disclosure has to underpin all of it for sure.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got some brilliant kids with their hands up. Let's start with you, Nadia.
So going back to Laura's question, how adults should guide us on our journey with AI. And like I mentioned in the previous Zoom call, I kind of touched on it, how children may be 1/3 of our population today, but they are 100% of our future. And to make sure that, and I think parents are the foundation of our future, because they are the ones that are raising us. They are the ones that are helping determine the future. And so you shouldn't just necessarily teach us as kids about AI. You should come with us. It's not like, okay, bye, I packed your stuff. All right, now you're ready for your journey. You should absolutely come with us and teach us along the way, because what is the best way of learning? It's definitely experience. I have never learned math without having the experience of solving the problem. I've never learned science without actually struggling through the experiment and putting together the data. I've never learned anything that actually stuck without experience. So parents shouldn't just teach us, they should guide us, come with us, point things out to us on the way. And then when it's our turn, in order to become a successful teacher, we need to listen to other people. And because parents are our foundation, they need to do their best to guide us. They need to actually tell us what they believe, not what they've heard from other people. They need to tell us what they believe in order for the world to stay as it is. Say they're going to guide us, right? What if they get how to guide my children in the work of AI? Say they put that question into AI. Our world is going to become boring. There's going to be everything we do is going to be based off of shortcuts. Everything we say is going to be based off of AI. So we really need to stick with this humanity. Otherwise, well, nothing interesting is going to happen. It's just going to be AI running our lives. It's us spitting out AI. It's going to be reversed. It's not going to be AI spitting out the answers. It's going to be us spitting out the answers that AI has given us. So in a way, yes, AI will control our future, but not as robots coming out taking over the world. It's going to control it through us. And we won't even know when it happens. That's the scary part for me. We won't even know when it happens, how it happens. It's just going to happen.
Oof. How's that for a response, Laura? We will come with you, Nadia. That's a really, really great invitation. Louisa.
Yeah, so actually going off of Nadia's point, I think that that was a brilliant way of wording it. I think that especially the fact that AI has done most of its developmental stages and execution stages in our lifetimes, not our parents. Our parents, some of them didn't even have a computer until they were in high school. And so sometimes it feels like we have spent history walking towards something, and I was put in the middle of a lake and I'm trying to be told how to swim by people who have never seen a lake before. They don't know what AI is. I don't know what AI is, but they're trying to tell me how to do it without ever even touching the water. So that's kind of what it feels like. And that's why Vail's policy, I know that I'm kind of vouching for my own school right now, but it really is really well crafted. One of my students are on a first name basis with the teachers. So I'll clarify, but like if I say Betsy, I'm talking about a teacher. So one of the things is that in the policy, it outlines the expectations for students, staff, and families. So, like one of my teachers, she uses AI to come up with questions for us or to come up with maybe some basic things it wants to say, images for a lesson that she's teaching. And she has saved so much time and effort by having AI give her these questions rather than putting in her by trying to come up with them while also managing all of the students at the school. So it is a tool and it should be used as such. And I'm just really grateful for the fact that Vail recognizes that it is not just us. We are just as naive about AI as all the other generations are. We are also smack dab in the middle of it. And so it's really valuable to me to have my parents, like my mother especially, say, yeah, this AI could have messed this up. Like, I don't know how to use AI. My dad develops and trains AI, but he tells me about all of these things, about how it works through that code. And that helps me to come up with my own thoughts about what I think about AI. And so, yeah, I think that all of that to say, I think that we all have to learn how to use AI as a tool, because otherwise we're going to end up like the 1950s post-apocalyptic dystopian short stories that were so outlandish at the time, like, oh, this could never happen. And it just seems more and more like The Matrix is going to be a documentary.
Right. Thank you, Louisa. Aisha from Abu Dhabi, thank you so much for joining us. Amazing, amazing.
Yeah, I agree by what Lucia and Nadia said, but I completely agree. Like, we use AI as a tool, and for like the UAE, the government now is implementing. I'm now gonna talk about the academic side. We're now implementing on teaching AI on how we use AI in schools. They are now not using it teaching as a tool, but teaching it on how we see AI, like how we see artificial intelligence, how we build it from up. We're studying it from school, like the middle grade, teaching us not how to use AI, on how to go through AI, but as well as how do we build like AI? That's the question. How do we build AI? But as well as having it in universities as well. But for example, in our universities, we definitely have a policy of using AI. We don't ever use AI. Like for me, I never use AI like for anything, but like just to I like to use it as a tool as well. But also we have like a university that's literally and it's called Sheikh Mohammed of Artificial Intelligence University. So those students are learning artificial intelligence. That's how the UAE is using it so that we know for ourselves how we could teach ourselves to use AI. That's my main idea is people should learn how to teach and use AI. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Because we even have courses, artificial intelligence, to help us use it as a tool, but not as in our life, to agree with it. We're using it
Right.
as a tool, not our life.
Yes, it's perhaps ill-advised for us to ask AI how to use it.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much for joining once again in the middle of the night, Abu Dhabi. You are
Yeah.
such an incredibly treasured and valuable member of our community, Aisha. Please say hi to your family. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're running out of time, but we've got, I see, 3 more questions. Erna?
Yeah.
Did you have a question you wanted to ask?
Oh, actually, yes. Okay, so I learned that at my school and home, I got in trouble for using AI, and from now on, I will never use AI. I will have to do the right way by studying, by studying on my schoolwork do do whatever it takes to be the best, to be the future writer. And oh yeah, oh yeah,
Well,
and
yeah,
a
no, go ahead.
oh yeah, and AI allows you, and AI doesn't have feelings and can make some mistakes, such as ChatGPT. But instead of using them, we use Google because it has more research and with more information, including all the resources.
Yeah, thank you very much, Aaron. I appreciate it. And look, I'm sorry you got in trouble, but honestly, we're all finding that there's a third rail that we can really only discover by experimenting. And like I said earlier, I used AI a fair amount with a great deal of optimism, and now I feel myself sort of bending back the other way. My thinking is that as this technology continues to evolve, we're going to find ourselves in the same situation that you were in. We might get busted or we might feel busted, but then we learn and we grow. So thank you for your thought and your experience. Last two thoughts, Ava and then Ara.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Yay.
Okay, so I think it was mentioned like earlier in the discussion, but generative AI, it doesn't really generate, it just it's kind of mentions or integrates past articles, and some of them could be like not, I guess, trustworthy. It just brings up anything that you're asking for, not really like anything that's a good source. So I feel if you use it for research, I think it would just be easier to just do the research on your own instead of like having a long list of articles that AI has brought to you and having to sort through every single one of them, seeing if they're trustworthy or not. And I personally, I don't really use AI that much, only like a few times for if I really can't understand a topic and say like math homework. If I already got the question wrong and I don't have any feedback, sometimes I put the question into AI, see what it gets, and sometimes it's wrong. But sometimes if it actually gets the correct answer, I kind of see the steps it takes. But that's literally the only use I have.
Thank you, Ava. Aram.
Hi. So, adding on to and expanding on what Ava said, I think the general consensus that like we've drawn from all these opinions is that we should not treat AI as a separate person, but treat it as we would a super intelligent tiger, dangerous and powerful, but with respect and something along the lines of I don't mess with you, you mess with me, but we can collaborate. And oh yeah, so I feel like this general idea that we've drawn is not, don't let AI replace us. Don't let it become human, but use it as a tool, as humanity has used the fire and the axe and the wheel. So, in an increasingly powerful, volatile, dangerous world where we have innovations like nuclear super weapons, we need to be more careful about how we use these tools, because how much damage could a single axe or a single fire cause compared to the Sundial Project or a huge nuclear or AI if it wanted to control us. It has access to near a lot of digital devices. It could cripple infrastructure within a day if it became self-aware. So I think we need to treat it as a very powerful tool and establish boundaries to kind of guide it within our society. But we need to respect it and use it in a way, don't fear it, but use it in a cautious, intelligent way, like we do with all our other powerful weapons or objects that we have in this world.
Yeah. I want to give Angelique. I want to throw the ball to you before we wrap it up, and I'm tempted to give you this final comment because you work with so many schools, and therefore, as head of School Smart KC, you see such a variety of teachers and students, and of course, over these next couple of years, more and more teachers and partners and schools and students are going to come to you and say, how best can we empower our students? How best can we manage these challenges? So I would love you to just sort of speak from the heart and talk about, what you see right now as the core opportunities as well as the cautions with AI in Kansas City schools.
Thank you for tossing it back my way. I see an opportunity to establish, and I think guardrails can be too heavy of a word, but some best practices. And the more we continue to turn away and try to ignore it, the more that we are missing an opportunity to co-design what this can look like. I sent a question in the chat as Laura was sharing the draft and that beautiful language that is welcoming and sets up some expectations. I think when we co-design with community, it not only has the opportunity to educate, but also have thumbprints of our users in that space. It's one of our greatest lessons as we have been in this space and supporting community is how do we center community and listen to their needs. So my question was, how did you form that policy? Was it through an advisory group? One of my favorite activities as a high school teacher was to sit down with my students and hear directly from them as we established boundaries, expectations, and how to address up and coming tools and things that were in use. So I think a great opportunity for us is to sit and listen with community. And first of all, what's on their mind about this and what are other exemplars around the country, around the globe. We've got some global participants here today. How are they incorporating this and what are the lessons we can learn from each other? I've learned so much tonight hearing from the students. I was being a little bit sarcastic, are we taking notes on this?
Yeah.
And how are we absorbing this? I do want to caution though, what I have seen is some weaponization around AI, and I want to make sure that the shame doesn't drive it underground and the use of. I think we need to continue to put it on the table. So one thing I do as a leader of our organization is we'll start some of our biweekly meetings is how did you use it this week? So socializing it and getting it out there. One of our team members said she'll go and she'll look in her pantry and she'll put all the ingredients in, or she'll take a picture and she'll go, what can I make with this? And keeping in mind our profession of educators, they have a lot on their plate and we have a lot of learner needs in front of us, and we want to meet those needs as educators, and we need tools to do that. So how do we maximize the tools to be the best educators we can to ensure that our learners in front of us have exceptional experiences to become, as someone was saying, we're a third of the population now, but we're the entire future. Was it Nadia?
Nadia, yeah.
Yeah. that is our responsibility to walk side by side and be open-minded enough to hear what the needs are, to share the experiences we've had with multiple other tools in our background, Wikipedia, calculators, as Erin mentioned, internet, horses before cars were going to ruin it. So what have we learned to bring forward, and how do we remain human in it and know that no one is perfect, but let's not weaponize it and use it to learn with and from each other.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Terrific last comment, and I really, really love the term co-design, Angelique. I am honored to be a part of this group, which I really do feel like is doing that very thing, co-designing our best practices and way forward. And I just love what you said about really removing the possibility, or at least minimizing the possibility for shame, and keeping what we do above ground and
Yeah,
share
above ground.
mistakes, warts and all. We're all going to use AI, whether we want to or not. It's the back end of our search engines. It's the back end of our Spotify and everything that we use casually or intentionally. So I want to thank everyone so much for being here tonight. This is obviously neither the beginning nor the end of this conversation. Again, we are written out loud, and we are working in a way that really does provide an extremely candid and, Angelique, as you would say, above ground way of getting young people in particular talking out loud to each other as an on-ramp to writing. That it is rather the opposite of the, shall we say, smuggled in AI that we're seeing so many schools kind of falling victim to, and kids falling victim to. So if you would like to talk to us about ways in which we can partner with your school or community, we would be thrilled to chat with you. And our team will put our contact information in the chat so that you can get in touch with us if it feels relevant to your world. But most of all, this is a big chunk of time, and it is a big chunk of live time. And I am not only grateful for you taking that time, I'm very confident that it is meaningful because we have taken this time to actually talk and listen to one another. This kind of live conversation, this campfire stuff, it's bulky, and there's kind of no multitasking if we're doing it properly. And yet, this is exactly the kind of conversation that I think we really need to have in order to be the community that we really need to be, to optimize and maximize this thing for our kids and for ourselves. So thank you all so much. Anything that you want to leave going forward, ways in which this community can continue to evolve and grow and serve you, go ahead and throw it in the chat. Again, contact us about Written Out Loud if you're interested in talking about it further. And thank you all so much for being a part and leading this conversation. It's enormously appreciated.
Thank you, Josh.
Not at all. Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you, everyone, for being here. This was so amazing, and what an interactive discussion. Thank you.
Aram, you're the man.
I
Thank you
really
so
enjoyed being able to voice my opinion, because many people in the world don't really listen to children's opinions, and I think it's very valuable that we have gathered here and listened to each other. I find that very, very heartening and very enriching because of all the people sharing their ideas.
It's a really big deal, Nadia. Your words, asking the grown-ups, the adults, not just to speak with you, but to come with you. As you know, we try to guide you as best we can and have you guide us on this journey. Those words hit me right between the eyes, Nadia. So I'm pledging on behalf of myself and Written Out Loud that we're going to stick together. All right.
All right, I gotta go because I have to eat dinner. I know it's late for dinner, but my sister brought back Chick-fil-A, so I'm really excited. Bye.
On that note, good night, everyone, and thank you.
Night. Thank
Thank
you
you.
as well. Bye. Have a wonderful day or
Thank
night.
you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.